Good morning and happy Monday. This is the last Monday of July, which is so crazy. August is starting this week. So I hope you already have a great jump start on your morning. It is early Monday morning, and we're going to start the morning off right. We're going to do another episode of Extraordinary Stories with Extraordinary People. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Amy Kochek with Amy Kochek Creative. I am a ghostwriter, I'm a coach, I'm an editor. I am all things story related. I've committed my life and my career to the power of story because I believe that human stories, our stories are what connects us. They are the most powerful asset that we possess. So it is my goal to use my social media platform as much as possible to highlight amazing things that people are doing all across the world and to give you a chance to connect to other people, because sometimes we get lost in our own stories and think that we're alone and that we're the only ones going through it, when in reality there are so many other people that are on the similar journey that we are on, and we can gain so much from other people's stories. And I have found that to be true with every person I've interviewed and put on this platform. So today is no different. I'm so excited. For those of you who have been watching, a couple weeks ago, we had Leona Burton on, who talked about what she's been doing. And today we have her sister, Estelle, who is going to be sharing some amazing parts of her story. So Estelle, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So I'm going to lob it to you, and I'm going to just have you introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and any other relevant information you want to share.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to share my story because, like you say, it's our stories that really connect us and help us to relate to other people. So hopefully there will be lots of people who will be able to relate to me and my story and my journey when I share with you guys today. So where do we start? My name is Estelle. I'm one of the co-founders of Mums in Business Association. I am mum to my two boys, Jed and Obi, and I have recently got engaged. So I have been a single mum for a very, very long time. And recently I've got engaged and I'm getting married next year. So things right now in my life are absolutely incredible. And I think I'm glad that we started there, but I'm going to take you back a little bit and explain how we got to that point, because it hasn't always been this kind of sunshine and roses sort of life. It's been very, very different to this. So way back in 2011, after having my second little boy, Jed, I really, really struggled with parenting. I'd felt really unwell throughout my pregnancy, like I wasn't connecting, and really struggled afterwards. And this had a knock-on effect on lots of different things. So my mental health was suffering, my relationship with my kids, the relationship with my partner, me in myself. I was just a shell of who I was. And so I received some counselling, and they encouraged me to find something that was creative that I could do that's totally unrelated to the kids and work life. It had to be something totally unrelated. And I really enjoyed photography. So I went and did a night course, and that lasted for 3 years. And then I did a teaching qualification as well. So I went back to college as an adult, which was super scary and super difficult. And this simply came from my counsellor suggesting I go and find an interest. So it was shortly after that my relationship broke down with my little boy's dad. And it was at this point that I kind of didn't know where I was at. I wasn't working. I was doing my photography course in the evenings. I wasn't working. I had one of my children at home with me. So trying to find something that fit in around that was extremely, extremely difficult. And it's sort of at that point that my life sort of was at the sort of lowest, I think, that I had kind of ever experienced, because I just felt so lost on my journey and unable to support my children. So here in the UK, we have different sort of support and benefits for people that are unable to support themselves, or they're not in work. And all of those things were taken away from me because of my change of circumstances when I separated from the kids' dad. So literally I had nothing. £36. I remember it very clearly. It was around about £36. to live on per week. And this was to pay my rent, to pay my bills, to support me and my children, to buy our shopping. It was unbearable. And I ended up going to a food bank, and it was probably the lowest point that I'd ever been at, to realise that I was having to accept this level of support because I wasn't able to support myself and my children without it. So it was at that kind of point that I then had to really start thinking about, how am I going to change this situation? Because there's clearly nobody around that's going to change it for me. And that's when I really had to start thinking, well, what can I do? What's going to fit in around the boys? And this is when I sort of honed in on my photography skills, which had always just been there as a hobby, and I'd never really intended to take it any further than that. But it seemed that if I could make that work around the kids, that that was going to be my answer. And for so many other women and mums, I know that you're going to be in that situation thinking, I just want to make something work, and I want it to work around the kids. And you're going to have this skill. Like, even if you don't know that you have it right now, there is going to be something that you can do that will fit in around your children. And so this is when I launched Love Photography 13 Weddings. I became self-employed in 2016. And it kind of just went from there, really. There were a lot of ups and downs, and I had to learn so much about business because I literally had no experience. I wanted to be a wedding photographer. I loved photography, but I had no idea that I was going to have to do accounting and marketing and create a website and all of these things that go with it. And that kind of gave me the sort of experience of building all of these skill sets that I now help other women to sort of achieve in their business, so they don't have to go through the struggles, excuse me, that I went through in staying up all night to watch webinars and, you know, sitting for hours on end watching different trainings so that I knew how to do certain things within my business. And that kind of led on to MIBA. So after creating Love Photography 13 and realizing that there was a real gap in the market and that mums in business weren't really being supported in a way that we wanted to be, Leona, who you mentioned earlier, my sister, and I started a Facebook group called Mums in Business Association. And that has kind of exploded. I don't know how much of that you want me to go into at this point, but that kind of, all of that journey and going through all of those struggles led me to a sort of a crucial point in my life that has just changed the direction more than I could ever believe.
Yeah. So I want to go back to when you kind of lost everything before you decide I'm going to launch and do this photography business. What's going on in your head as you know, you're no longer together with your partner, you have 2 kids, you're barely making it. How do you go from that to saying, I'm going to start my own business? Like, where do you develop the courage in the midst of all the chaos?
I think that had always been there, that sort of ambition and that drive to show my children, like, you know, this is what you can get out of life if you're willing to put it in, you know, that had always been there. And I think it was only when I was put to the breaking point that I had to really draw on all those things. And it wasn't easy to start with because all that I felt was that I was just being bombarded with negative things. And this is when I really started to work on my personal development and surrounding myself with people who understood. Like, there were a lot of people in my life at the time that were having quite a negative impact on me. And I think that's important. It's not just about working on yourself and finding this within yourself. It's looking at the outside sort of impact as well. And the people that you're surrounding yourself with, are they helping you? Are they like pushing you towards where you should be at? Or are they like negative and, you know, not really on the same level? Because that has a huge impact. And that, when I started changing the people that I was surrounding myself with, working on my personal development, thinking about gratitude every day, that is something that is so simple that anybody can do it. And by sitting and writing 3 things in the evening that you're grateful for that day, even if it's just the fact that the sun was shining, or, you know, you got a chance to have a cup of tea that was hot without the kids, you know, calling you to do whatever they need you to do, find those things to be grateful for, because then when you go to bed that night, the world doesn't seem so much of a bad place. Mornings are always really difficult for me. I have a history of anxiety and depression, and mornings are still really like always the worst time for me. I wake up and I have to really push myself to set my mindset for that day. And I think that's what the key is here. It's to take that back and think, right, actually, I'm in control here. There's nobody else that's going to change it. You can sit and feel sorry for yourself as long as you want, but there's only one person that's going to change this situation, and that's you. And that's when you start taking these steps to move forward. I think that's when you feel freer, and these ideas do come because you feel that you're being authentic and you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And that's where my calling, like for the photography at the time, I knew that was something that I had a massive passion for. And so I think with the personal development and that helping with my confidence, and then surrounding myself with people who were pushing me and encouraging me, kind of put me in the, like, everything just aligned together, I think, at the right time. And I don't think if I hadn't have gone through those struggles that I'd have wanted it to succeed so badly.
Yeah. So when you're talking about personal development, I know you mentioned like distancing yourself from negative outer influences and gratitude. What else did you use when it came to personal development? Like, how specifically did you go about implementing that in your life?
Okay, so meditation is huge for me because I am an overthinker. My mind does not stop. I can be up all night. I can literally work through the night and not realize what time it is. I can sit and work through the day and not eat. So my mind is so active. It causes me issues. And being able to meditate and realizing the power of meditation it was huge for me. That was a massive, massive turning point. And I remember first couple of times I tried it, and I am a massive sort of advocate for this now. I am forever telling people, anyone that tells me they're stressed or they can't sleep, I'm like, you need to meditate. And the first few times I was like, this is not for me. This is a little bit weird. And I still remember the first meditation that I ever listened to, and I still listen to it now. And it talks about relaxing from your scalp and feeling like someone's like touching you down your head. Well, I was giggling because all I could think of is, like you do this thing at school where they like, you do this on the head, like you crack the egg and it might. So that's what all I could think of is if someone was like trickling something on me, and I giggled and I couldn't relax. But then I gave it time and I tried again and I tried again. And now I absolutely love meditating. It's the time that it allows my brain to stop. It allows me to focus on me and my breathing and what my goals are without all this chaos happening in my mind. And I think a lot of people see meditation as sitting there with your legs crossed like, and it's really not that. It's just about taking time out to just stop, let everything calm down and just to refocus. And that for me was huge because I had so much going on at that time. If I hadn't been using meditation, my head would probably have exploded.
Mm-hmm. So when you transitioned to doing to starting your photography business, what would you say was one of your biggest struggles in that new transition of now being a business owner?
I think it was actually knowing how to run a business because I just wanted to take photographs. And that was like, I see so many people now when I go into it and speak to them about Instagram, and I'm like, you need to take photographs, you need content. And they're like, yeah, but I just want to do what I do. And this is what, and I totally get that because as a wedding photographer, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to take photographs. I wanted to be at weddings, but that wasn't how I was going to have a successful business. There were lots of other things, like you say, the marketing, the behind the scenes, the creating a community, the branding, things that you have no idea you're going to have to deal with. That was the most difficult thing for me to try and take on board because I had to learn so much, and trying to find these things was like a headache in itself because Google was literally my best friend as it is now. If I don't know what it is or I want to learn something, I will Google how to do that. And so that is how I built my knowledge up. But it was extremely difficult at the beginning. And again, this is why we created the things that we create for Mums in Business Association, because it just makes life so much easier. I wish so bad that we had had something like this. When I set up my business, I'd have had this place to go to that would help me and support me on an emotional level, on a business level, and help me actually grow my business skills. all in one place, because that was super difficult for me to try and get my head around.
Yeah. So when you first started, because you're still at the beginning of starting your business, you're still a single mom. So you're trying to start a business, you're trying to earn an income. Where do you find like the balance, if there is such a thing, to make sure that you are still tending to your kids, tending to your mental health, tending to your business? I know a lot of, especially women, talk about the difficulty in finding that ever elusive balance. How did you deal with that?
It was very difficult. And at one point, I think it was the first year of my business, I shot back-to-back weddings through, I think, May, June, July, August, September. And that was every single weekend. There was not a weekend that I had off to spend with my kids. So it was really important that I tried to make time for them at other points throughout the week. So even though we didn't have the weekends together, we had a nice routine. Having a routine is massive for me because, like I say, my mind's constantly going. So if I see a set visual that this is happening at this time, and that's probably the best sort of tip that I can give you. Get into a routine, write it down if necessary. Like I can show you right now, I have a list written down of what I'm doing throughout the day. So you can actually see, okay, then this like between 9 and 10, I'm going to check my emails. The kids are going to be eating their breakfast or watching TV. That's that time. You know, after that, you set an hour. I've started running recently. So me and the kids will go to the park. I get to run laps and the kids get to play on the park and the dog gets to run all at the same time. So, you know, like scheduling times and getting into a routine. I think the quicker you can get into a routine, the easier it is, because then you can start to balance things out.
Yeah. So let's jump to you and your sister creating MIBA and where that kind of started and your role in launching that. How did that come about?
Okay, so after launching Love Photography 13 Weddings, I realized that there was a lack of support for mums in business. Leona, my sister, was also in network marketing and felt that there was sort of nowhere online or offline that catered and helped to support other women. And so we decided to set up a Facebook page in June 2017. And since then, that's like just over 2 years. And since then, we've now got a social media following of over 65,000 people. We have around about 42,000 women in our Facebook group alone. And I think this just showed the need and the fact that we weren't alone, in the fact that we felt alone and unsupported. And that has been why the group has been so successful, because it's just a place that was created by mums for mums, and we understood the struggles and we understood what other women wanted to know and what their problems were. So it was easy for us to solve them. And we consistently do this now. We're consistently looking all the time at what do our followers need. You know, we put polls into the group asking, you know, what would you like to see our next training on? What would you like to see at our next conference? Or, you know, we're constantly asking for feedback, listening, and then evaluating and changing what we're doing. So I think that is like one of the reasons why what we're doing is working so well, because we're continuously changing. At the start, it was just a Facebook group. We didn't expect anything else. It was just somewhere we wanted to go for support. And then off the back of that, women wanted to know sort of things about setting up their business. So we started teaching people about that. And then we sort of go on to Instagram. So Instagram is one of my huge passions. I love to teach women how to use Instagram to grow their business. And that was just, again, another one of my skills that I'd used previously and people wanted to know more about. So then we started creating those sort of trainings. And it's kind of snowballed really into something that has blown everybody's minds. We now have child-friendly networking events. These happened because we wanted child-friendly networking events ourselves. So we created them for ourselves. And we now have them in 130 locations around the world. We've used the platform to help 92 women become Amazon #1 best-selling authors. We had no idea we were going to write a book. It started as a Facebook page. So, you know, we're just constantly listening to what people want and hopefully trying our best to provide them with that.
Yeah. So as a female entrepreneur, and from just what you've experienced working with female entrepreneurs, what would you say is one of the greatest struggles that are unique to female entrepreneurs?
I think we've already kind of touched on it. I think the balance is one of the main things. The mum guilt. I am the worst for it. My little one has created hell in my house this week. And, trying to find that, am I working too much? Am I not working enough? You spend time with the kids, you feel guilty for not spending time on your business. And it's a catch-22. So I think that balance is the most difficult thing. And I think not being too hard on yourself is the best bit of advice I can give. And I need to take this more often myself, because I am my worst critic, and I am I'm on myself all the time to do better, to do more, to, put out more content, to help more people. And I think sometimes we just need to sit back a little bit and think, we're doing the best that we can. And that's as long as you're getting up every day and you're showing up, and your kids aren't eating Jaffa cakes for like breakfast, lunch and dinner every day, it's not so bad. I don't know what you guys have over in the States, but we have something called pot noodle, which are like noodles in a pot. And the other day I was so busy, the boys were like, what have we got for dinner? And I was like, oh, I haven't been shopping. And they had pot noodle for dinner. And I sat outside afterwards and I was like, oh my God, I've just given my kids pot noodle for dinner. And I really beat myself up about it. And then afterwards I was like, the kids love pot noodle. It's not like they have it every day. And,
Right.
I was really busy in the middle of something, hence why I hadn't been shopping. So, we just have to kind of not be so tough on ourselves and kind of cheer each other on and cheer ourselves on the way that we cheer each other on, I think, because we do just deserve a little bit of an easier time than we give ourselves.
Yeah. Let's do the flip side of that. So what's one of the assets that female entrepreneurs possess that maybe a male entrepreneur doesn't possess and that we don't utilize enough?
I'm going to go with multitasking here, because I multitask like a mofo, and my fiance can barely do one thing at a time, let alone 2, 3, 4. And I think that is a woman thing, because we have so much to do. I'm sure there's going to be dads out there that are single dads and that do a lot in the house too. But I know for a fact, and it's really quite nice actually, because my fiance and his dad are super appreciative of women. As women as a whole, they just are utterly in awe of how we do what we do. If we work out every single day the amount of things that we actually get done, it's insane. Chris has on his list, go to the gym, pack lunch, and that's it. And then on my list, it's washing, take the kids, go to the vets, ironing, write content, have meetings, and this is all before lunchtime. Mm-hmm. So I think we multitask really well. I think we manage to do lots of different things. And again, this is something that we don't give ourselves credit for. If you're feeling a bit down in the dumps and that you're not motivated and you're not working to your full capacity, write a list at the end of the day and write down all the things that you've done, literally everything. And then sit there and take a look and think, actually, you feel like you've not had a productive day, but really when you look at it, there's lots of things that you should be feeling proud of.
Yeah. So tell us from where we started, from you kind of losing everything, having to start over, to now, what do you think is one of the major lessons you learned about yourself?
That I am a hell of a lot stronger than I ever imagined that I was. That is it, really. I don't think if anyone had said to me, you're going to have to go through this and this and this, I'd have been like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But the fact that I've been through them now, and not only have I been through them, but I've learned from them, I think that is the most important thing, because we can keep going through life and you're going to be taught the same lesson, unless you learn it and you take something from it. You're going to repeatedly be back in the same scenarios if you don't take something from it, learn and change and move forward. So everything that's happened to me, I used to be quite an angry, but not an angry person, but I was very quick to react. And I have got the most vile mouth when I want to have. And I think the main thing for me has been learning to step back, and it's okay to not instantly react, because that like emotion you sometimes have to take out. So by like, you know, taking that step back and learning to sort of understand myself a little bit more, I think is a huge thing.
Yeah. What's one skill or talent that you've discovered that you have that you never knew you had through this process?
Oh, can I throw in Instagram here? Because
Yes.
I had no idea, and I still kind of pinch myself. Way back when I had my wedding photography business, I used Instagram because it was a fun platform that I liked. It was very visual, so it was great for wedding photography. But then as it went on, I realized that I actually knew quite a lot about Instagram, more so than the average person, which I didn't realize at the time. I thought everybody knew this kind of stuff. And it wasn't until we started MIBA and I started sharing my tips with people that I actually realized that I've actually got a really unique skill set. And the fact that I can break down Instagram to make it so simple for other people to use to grow their business is something that I am totally blessed, that I love spending time, not just the fact that I get to spend time on Instagram, but the fact that so many other women are now feeling confident and are seeing amazing results from the sort of things that I'm telling them. That just absolutely makes my day. So the fact that I can help other women grow their businesses has been a skill that I didn't actually realize I had. But now I'm super glad that I'm using it to help lots of other people as well.
Yeah, I love that. So last question. For people that are watching right now or that are going to watch in the replay, and they might be at a position in their life where they're kind of at a low point, maybe they've lost everything or looking at a life that they have to restart, what would be a piece of advice or a word of encouragement that you could give them?
If I can do this, then believe me, you can too, because you know what we've achieved in the last 2 years has been insane. And it all started from me making that choice, you know, and I'm not saying you can't sit there and have a bad day, because trust me, the fact that I had to go and eat at a food bank and put a smile on my face and pretend to everyone that everything was okay when inside my life was in turmoil, I know is not the easiest thing. But you have to dig deep and you have to think why you want to do this. You know, do you want to carry on living this life, being in that like cycle, or do you want to make a change? Like, even if this is like just one thing, make a change. Like, go and connect with someone you've, like, you know, reach out to a friend that you've not spoken to. You know, make one conscious choice that you're going to do something today that's going to take you one step forward. Because as long as you're moving forward, even if it's a half a step, you're not in that same place anymore. So don't think big and think, oh my God, right now I'm at like rock bottom, but I'm going to have this £1 million business and I'm going to have all these cars. You know, focus on right now and what can you do? What one thing can you do that's going to make you feel better? And you know, it doesn't have to be a physical thing. Like, take time out to read a book. I'm the worst for this. Like, I love to read and I never get a chance to read. So even if it's just 5 minutes to yourself, to just stop all the chaos that's going on in your life, get the kids to bed, and just have 5 minutes to read, or like look at some like affirmations. Just do something that's going to raise you up just a little bit, just one thing. And I guarantee once you go back the next day and you think, I need to do that one thing, think back to how you felt the day before, knowing you've done that one thing. That sense of achievement will keep you going. And those one steps forward are soon going to like take you into a future that you have no idea is amazing. Because I know when you're in that situation, you feel that the future may not be what you had planned. But trust me, the universe has a plan. You're going to be fine. And if not, drop me a DM and you can, you know, rant to me and I will make sure that you are fine.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, so let us know, how can we contact you? How can we get in contact? And especially because I've watched a couple of your lives on Instagram, and just practical for anyone looking to grow their business or just learning more about Instagram. Estelle gives the most practical, step-by-step advice without just giving you, you know, motivational tips. It's like actual stuff you can go away and implement. So let us know how we can contact you.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at estellekeeberofficial. We also have on the 5th of August our Instagram Back to Basics course starting, which, like you've just mentioned, we literally going back to basics and we're breaking it all down from literally setting up an account right the way through to content, hashtags, Instagram stories. So for anybody that's sort of thinking, how can Instagram help me grow my business? That would be perfect. And like you say, there's so many tips over on my Instagram. I'm live every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. GMT, and you can jump on and ask me questions too. So if you have any Instagram questions you would like me to answer personally, you can jump on the live with me, and we'll give you a little shout out, which again is obviously a good promo for your business as well.
Yeah, and we're going to put the link to MIBA in the comments as well for those of you who would like to become a part of MIBA. It's just a really great, once again, another place where it's just practical tips, which I think sometimes gets lost in the entrepreneurial world. It's a lot of motivation, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But after I'm motivated, I want to know how to do it, which is MIBA's great for that as well. So we'll put that in the comments. Estelle, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your wisdom, for your vulnerability, for sharing your story. We have walked away with a lot of value from what you've shared. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And congratulations on your engagement. Super exciting.
Thank you.
And for those of you who have joined us today, thank you so much. We'll be back later this week with another episode. Please make sure that you are connecting. And it's not just about watching, which is great, consuming people's stories, but it's all about connecting. Make connections. Look at trainings. Message people. Everyone that I've had on here is very open to making connections and sharing more of their stories. So have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week, and we will see you back.